From WFRV TV Local 5, your local election headquarters, this is Newsmaker Sunday with your host, Tom Zalaski.
Good morning. Welcome to Newsmaker Sunday. I'm Tom Zalaski. As we begin the month of May, businesses in Northeast Wisconsin continue to deal with the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. The challenges, they're difficult. A recent poll of business owners conducted several organizations. As New North shows, 35% of businesses surveyed felt they would not be viable after 3 months of the current circumstances. The poll covered more than 2,500 responses from 63 of this state's 72 counties and was conducted between April 1st and April 10th. The results also showed more than 8,700 jobs were lost during the earliest days of the Safer at Home order, translating into a loss of $126 million in income. Well, joining us this morning to talk about that survey and ways that New North is supporting local businesses is Barb Lemieux. She is the organization's executive director. Barb, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Much appreciated. The survey you mentioned, it was conducted about a month ago. From your view right now, is the situation worse today than it was at the beginning of April?
Well, we're very grateful that the governor recently, as he describes, we're turning the dial, right? So there are some additional economic activities that can occur starting today that weren't eligible earlier than that. So the survey that you referenced, Tom, did go out in early April. There will be another one that will be released next week, so it'll be observation 2. So we're going to be repeating this about every 4 weeks as we roll through this crisis, so we can better understand the effects it is having on our local business and industry. And then the ultimate goal is to, how do you map resources and help to create a recovery plan based on actual statistics, actual data.
Now, more businesses are able to offer curbside services now, but most of these in-store operations, they remain closed all across the state. What are some of those business owners telling you about hopefully making this work?
Clearly, as the survey pointed out, especially our smaller companies that don't have a lot of built up cash, they're saying that their major issue is liquidity, right? So how do they get enough funds to continue to sustain them during this period where their sales are obviously down, or in some cases not coming in at all? So it's access to liquidity. We always tell them to certainly connect with your local banker that can work with you on terms and seeing what they can do to help you during this period of time. There are other programs, as we all know. The federal government released the PPP, and the next round of that was released this week. And other local sources. So I really need to compliment the local communities and municipalities in the New North region that have really stepped up. There are several local revolving loan funds that have been established, especially because in lieu of this crisis. And many of them are deferring payments and 0% interest, and some are even as grants.
New North has launched a video. It's called Strength and Determination. Describe how does this video support our local businesses during these uncertain times?
Sure. Well, it's a video that we pulled together to really show the resiliency of our region. And we don't mean to minimize the negative impacts this crisis is having. So there clearly are those. But we wanted to demonstrate that the strength and power and ingenuity of our region, of how we are responding to this. And by we, I mean our local companies. And these range clearly from obviously healthcare, to transportation and logistics, to manufacturing, to food producers, to people that are closer to customers, those that are working food pantries and getting food to people that are desperately in need, along with entrepreneurs that have really paired up with other corporations and companies to come up with new creative solutions to help address this. So the video was designed to demonstrate the power of the the region, and clearly underscore the caring that we're seeing. So if there's any positive, any silver lining in this crisis, it's how we have seen people really care for one another and support each other, that we envision that is going to continue well beyond this crisis and as we move into recovery mode.
Barb, once we do get past this pandemic, what will business owners have to do in order to return to what they used to know as normal?
Yeah, we don't really know what the normal is going to look like. People are referring it to the new normal. I don't like that term. I want it to be normal. I just want it to be normal. But I don't know if anybody really understands what that means. So, I mean, clearly, as companies can get on their feet, we mentioned that liquidity. They were also saying in the survey, they need access to their customers, right? So it's about, currently they're trying to do that virtually. They're trying to do that with, for some cases, small, curbside pickup as an example, but really being able to have access to the customers that they had before. We're also evaluating the supply chain that has been disrupted with larger companies that are dependent upon parts coming from all over the world. So as we work on a recovery plan, we're also looking at this as an opportunity that perhaps there is another silver lining would be, how do we better understand the disruption that is occurring right now and work to bring that supply chain closer to home, get it into the United States, get it into Wisconsin, selfishly getting it into the New North region, that if something like this were to happen again, you're working across town or across counties versus, across the ocean. So those are things that are certainly going to have to be considered as we work through the recovery plan.
Now, Barb, as you well know, there is a real personal debate among business owners. Some believe it's time to get back to work. Those say it's too dangerous to reopen at this time. What's New North telling them?
Well, we are actually having a session with our board of directors and some state organizations this coming Friday. We have been watching clearly the medical statistics. We know this is a medical crisis. It started as a medical crisis. We know it's moving into an economic, incredibly serious situation, right? So we need to first understand the conditions, and then we have been reviewing. There's plans that seem like they're being released every day, and there's a lot of really great ideas in these plans. So how do we take the best out of all of those? And we work with WEDC that has led the recovery Wisconsin Ready plan, and perhaps make it stronger. Where there may be some ambiguity, how do we provide more certainty? How do we provide more guidance? Those are all things that I know our partners at the state are certainly dealing with, and we look forward to being a partner as to pulling out best pieces out of these plans and pulling together a document that is easily understandable, certainly actionable, and something that's going to help the situation.
And Barb, finally, what's your best advice for somebody who's closed down right now, somebody who's probably scared to death about their future? What are you telling them?
Clearly stay informed. There's so much information out there that, making sure you're getting your information from reliable sources, that's probably the best thing that they could do. They should be using this time to work on their business, not in their business. And that means really taking a step back to say, like, how do I service my customers, and what product or service am I offering? Can I enhance that? Who are my collaborators? Should I be aligning myself with other entities? So using this time, that the unfortunate time that they can't have their businesses open, really to plan. Companies should always stay very, very well connected to their service providers, and those are, their bankers, their attorneys, their accountants, their advisors. We know for some of our smaller businesses, that can become very, very challenging. We know we have a very strong chambers of commerce and economic development organizations across our region too that are pulling together these webinars and informational sessions that companies can choose to join, and there's no cost to do that, so that they can educate themselves. So when the time comes when they can open their doors, they're ready to receive those customers, and they're certainly ready to get back to business.
Barb Lemieux, Executive Director of New North, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we continue our conversation with Jeff Merkis from Downtown Green Bay Incorporated, so stay with us.